The curse of purity. An STD you can only catch from nothing. The itch started subtly, just a tingle really, high on my left bicep. I ignored it, chalking it up to dry skin, another casualty of the brutal winter. But it wouldn't go away. It sharpened, focused, until I found myself scratching raw the spot where it pulsed. That's when I noticed the face. It was small, barely discernible at first, like a birthmark I'd never seen before. But as days bled into weeks, the blemish grew. It morphed into a crude, angry visage, a grotesque caricature of a human face, complete with a sneering mouth and beady, malevolent eyes. And then it spoke. "Thanks, Eric," it rasped, the voice a dry, papery whisper that seemed to emanate from within my skin. "Thanks for giving us life." I nearly jumped out of my skin. I hadn't touched another person in months. Years, if you didn't count fleeting, accidental brushes on the subway. Celibacy was a conscious choice. A fortress I'd built around myself after a messy breakup left me raw and distrustful. Now, that fortress was collapsing inward, and something monstrous was crawling out of the ruins. More faces appeared. Tiny, contorted masks of rage and hunger spread across my body. They clustered on my chest, writhed on my thighs, whispered their thanks, their demands, their unholy glee. My doctor was useless, of course. He stared, bewildered, muttering about stress and suggesting a therapist. The dermatologist just prescribed a stronger cream, his eyes filled with a fear he couldn't quite mask. The faces grew louder, more insistent. They told me I was special, chosen, that I was giving them power, substance. They told me what I had to do. "You have to feed us, Eric," they hissed in unison, a chorus of tiny, hateful voices. "You have to break your vow." The thought turned my stomach. But the alternative was the old man. I'd seen him a few weeks back, shuffling down the street, a walking, talking horror show. He was covered in the same grotesque faces, but on him they were advanced, monstrous. They'd fused together, forming fleshy tumors, pulsing veins, gnarled, bark-like growths. He was a human tree, consumed by this thing. I overheard him arguing with the faces. He was pleading, desperate, explaining that he couldn't afford what I now knew I had to do. He was trapped, a prisoner in his own decaying body. The faces were laughing, mocking him, reveling in his misery. That image haunted me. I couldn't let that be me. Work became a nightmare. The faces were getting stronger, influencing me. Blackouts started. I'd come to, disoriented, surrounded by terrified coworkers. Apparently, during these episodes, I'd become fixated on something called a Laba Boo doll. I didn't even know what that was. But if anyone had one, I'd attack them. Violent, uncontrolled rage. Someone showed me a shaky video they'd taken. It was me, all right, but it wasn't me. It was something else, something feral and monstrous, fueled by the things growing on my skin. So, I found myself standing outside a brothel, the neon sign buzzing overhead like a swarm of angry wasps. Shame and disgust warred with the primal terror that gripped me. I knew this was wrong. I knew it was a betrayal of everything I believed in. But the faces, they were screaming. Inside, the air was thick with cheap perfume and desperation. I felt like I was wading through a swamp of human misery. I picked someone, a woman with tired eyes and a sad smile. I barely remember the act itself. It was quick, mechanical, devoid of any real connection. I just wanted it to be over. And then, silence. The faces were gone. The whispers ceased. The itching stopped. Relief flooded me, so intense it almost brought me to my knees. I'd done it. I'd broken the curse. I needed to clear my head, get back to normal. Tree trimming had always been therapeutic for me. The rhythmic swing of the axe, the smell of fresh-cut wood, it was grounding. So, the next day, I headed out to a job, a towering oak that needed to be taken down. The first swing felt good, solid. But as the blade bit into the trunk, something was wrong. The wood wasn't splintering right, it was, yielding, like flesh. I swung again, harder this time, and then the blood came, not sap. Blood. Thick, crimson blood that sprayed from the wound, followed by chunks of matter. Skin, bone, hair. I'd chopped down a person. The horror of it slammed into me with the force of a physical blow. I stumbled back, dropping the axe, my stomach heaving. It wasn't a tree. It was a person, twisted and contorted, so completely consumed by the thing that it had become indistinguishable from the wood. I ran. I ran as fast as my legs could carry me, adrenaline burning in my veins. I didn't stop until I reached my apartment, collapsing inside, gasping for breath. I had to tell someone. The police. Anyone. But the fear held me back. They wouldn't believe me. They'd think I was insane. And maybe I was. As I sat there, paralyzed by fear and guilt, I saw it. Through the window, across the street, in the park. A woman. Kneeling in the grass. Her hands were covered in dirt. She was planting something. I squinted. It wasn't a sapling. It was another person. Twisted, gnarled, half buried in the earth, their limbs contorted into grotesque branches. And the woman, she was whispering to it, nurturing it, as if it were the most precious thing in the world. The faces, barely visible beneath the dirt and leaves, were smiling. It wasn't over. It was just beginning. This thing, it wasn't just an STD. It was a plague. And I was already infected.